I promise that John and I don't only drink limited releases, even though it probably seems that way, but we're in that season. It's the fall. You guys know these things are coming out left and right, and we have another really cool iteration. This time it is from Yellowstone. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the brand. It's chaired up by Stephen Beam. That last name should sound familiar to you at this point.
It rings a bell, yeah.
Yeah, you know, the Beams, they've done a little bit in whiskey, but this is the Yellowstone 2022 Limited Edition Bourbon. Beautiful color.
It's got a great color to it, yeah. It actually noses really, really well, too. There's a lot going on with there. It's a bit of a spicy boy, as I think you would say.
Yeah, spicy boy for sure. To break this one down for you guys, these have been like the sleeper limited editions as far as I've kind of been aware in the recent years. I picked up last year's at a gas station. This year I did have to buy mine from a friend, but price was pretty good. It is a blend of 7-year, 15-year, and 16-year bourbon. They blended on up. They finished it in Marsala Superiore dessert wine cask. It's a sweet wine from Italy, typically, you know, kind of over in Europe. European sweet wines are very popular. They imported those casks, finished this whiskey in it, and they bottled it at 101 proof. And we're looking at it right now. This is I love a good dessert wine, man.
Yeah, this is really interesting. It's a total change up from what we just tasted, and in a cool way. So I feel like this is a cool sister product to the Blood Oath pack that releases every year, right? Like, we get the finished stuff from the Blood Oath line, usually a little bit of a wild release. And sometimes they almost go hand in hand. Like, one will be maybe cognac finish, the other Armagnac. I think that this is a really cool take. So this year's Blood Oath was the Calvados finish that we reviewed, which was, I thought, really, really great. They did a great job with that this year. And so on to this side, we're going to move to the dessert wine finish for Yellowstone. And I'm pretty excited to dig into this one and really talk about it, because as I start trying to dissect this a bit in the glass, I feel like it's more complex than I would have guessed off the top.
Yeah, so if you guys don't have experience with Marsala wine, it's typically bottled in that 16 to 19% ABV range. It's a big, strong wine. It leans on like kind of a caramel, toasted apple, lots of big nutty notes. It's a big nutty sherry, kind of like a Pedro Jimenez or some of the others. It's a mellow kind of style of wine, so it's meant to be sweet, easy to drink. It's not like trying to pop your head off with sulfur or anything. And the MSRP on this bottle was $129. I'll tell you guys, I had to pay a little bit over that. I paid $189. Jury's out on whether that was a good choice or not, but that's why we are here drinking it with you guys tonight. Overall, the nose on this is actually, it's a little more restrained than I thought, but I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like digging through the palate of this too. It really does work right across the whole gamut of flavors. I mean, you get like some of that core well-aged bourbon, some good oak backbone holding everything up, but it moves right through into a pretty good sweet layer that does really kind of bounce around. Like, you get the sweet notes, you get this nice spice to it, good oak holding it all together, and then there is like this backing of a good nuttiness that is just really kind of enjoyable and brings another layer to this, makes it drink in a really deep way. I like it.
I'll admit that few things scare me more than seeing something like bourbon and a sweet wine supposedly married together. Because bourbon, I mean, as far as whiskeys go, bourbon can be pretty sweet. That's not to say it's sugary or like chewy or like weird and desserty, but like bourbon is a sweeter whiskey. And so I always kind of worry when I see these sweet wines pop up. But the base bourbon has like such a nice baking spice, like soft tannins. It is spicy, it's savory, and that's working so well with the sweet wine here. I'm kind of blown away. The palate on this is great. Like, it's rich for 101 proof. It's balancing sweet and spicy and earthy and cocoa-y and savory really well. Like, this is killer.
Yeah, this is nice. This is, so my first experience with, no, I don't know if it was my first experience with Yellowstone's LE, but anyway, an experience that I had with it was one that was non-finished. So this would have been, I think, from either 2018 or 19. And it was just a blend. And I tried some of it and I was like, okay, I feel like that's pretty decent bourbon. I'm going to set it aside and I'll come back to it another time. And I did. And I thought, oh, okay, this is better than I remember it. And then I came back to it again another time. I was like, this is better than I remember. And I feel like every time I got into it, I was like, you know what? This is really well done. And it kind of made me open my eyes a little bit to something that is like a slower mover on many shelves. And I started grabbing it every year and comparing them as I went through, and then started comparing them to the Blood Oath as well. And I feel like they're so complementary in a lot of ways, but so different too. And it's really cool how you could just finish these blended products in a way to make something that this is most certainly more than the sum of its parts, right? This is a lot of really cool things, but in such a balanced way that I am extremely pleased with this.
I have to agree, and I have to say, I'm not at all disappointed that this was bottled at 101 proof. I know people spending big money typically do want to see barrel proof, they want to see non-chill filtered, north of $100. I certainly think those asks are justified, but in this case, it's sweet, it's complex, 101 proof, it still has great viscosity. It means you can drink a little more of this before you kind of hit, what you should be capping out at for a day, or before you're like, oh man, I want more, but I'm feeling it, which is a problem with those big, like those Bookers and Stag Juniors, where you're like, I could really go for a little more, but things are getting blurry, which is always
flavor wise, you want to keep going, but liver wise and like waking up tomorrow wise, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of stuff to do. You can't. Oftentimes, that extra pour is just a risk for being, productive. But 101 proof, drinking well north of that. This is viscous. It's syrupy. It's got a great texture. It's really easy to enjoy. I don't know that I would try this in a cocktail. This has everything that I kind of want, which feels weird to say about Yellowstone because they fly under so many folks' radar. But this is a candidate for one of the best limited editions I've had so far this year, and feels weird to say it, but I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It is really interesting, really good. There's like this subtle layer of fruit in there too, that the more I swirl this thing, the more I'm picking up. Like I'm getting a little bit of like a green apple peel kind of going on. It's overall, this is really, really good. I'm gonna need to taste this another 2 or 3 times and really put a score on this, because I could be with you. This could be right up there as a contender for the year.
Definitely. So guys, go ahead and check it out. Our review is up at whiskeyraiders.com. You can get a review of this whiskey, the full tasting notes. John will have his up as well at thebourbonfinder.com. But I gotta say, it's just weird to me that a brand nails all the aspects. Like, this bottle is beautiful. It's got the details you need. It's got a cool like cork and stopper at the top. It nails presentation. The whiskey's good. I don't hate the price. It's probably a little steeper than what folks are hoping for, but in this day and age, $130 for a well-aged, 7, 15-year, 16-year whiskey, an expensive wine finish, like those casks are not easy to bring over from Italy.
True.
I hate to say it feels justified, and this, people should, I think, pay more attention to Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point there. I'm not gonna belabor it. I'm gonna say that I really dig this one, and I'm gonna let it go there.
That's as good a time as any. So, all right, guys, if you hunt this bottle as well, we'd love to know about it. It's always curious to see what is on shelves in your area. Like last year, I found a bottle at a gas station. This year, I didn't see a single one in my area here in Wisconsin. I know John is going to struggle with the same in Maine. So if you live in a place where these just pop up, we'd love to know where that is. Maybe we'll take a vacation next September.
Here we go.